Wallace. I am your President and CEO for the Southwestern Michigan Urban League. So again, welcome and thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Pastor. So you have an agenda which outlines our day, and we're going to go right in that order. So I've already welcomed you, and I want to introduce our academic collaborative priority teams to allow you the opportunity to hear what they're going to be working on for 2019. Now, this group, if you would, has been actively working for about a year and a half or so. So they've been really on the ground working to create a collective agenda and now moving into the implementation phase. And so there was a lot of inner healing work that was done at the first part of the first stage of, the collaborative as we begin to move out into the broader community, if you would. So again, we really appreciate everyone for being here. And I'm going to start with, let me just say, so we have 4 priority teams that are active. It's the values team, economic development, systems, primarily focused on the political system, and then our family, children, education. And each of those coordinators, which I will name as I go through what their goals for 2019, each of those coordinators are volunteers of their time to assist and help that we are able to fulfill the mission. So even just for that purpose alone, I think we should give them a hand. I'll start with our values priority team, which is being led by Dr. Richard Compton. If you would, raise your hand. So for the values team for 2019, their plan is to utilize civic organizations that support the vision and mission to communicate a collective voice through community conversations. These conversations should emphasize the need for organizations to collaborate and share a collective moral conscious agenda and invite a dialogue of the historical importance of values and the significance of a values-driven community. Now, what they will be working on is a Renaissance campaign, planning a kitchen table, which is discussions on our strengths and values, dissonance in the African American community, partnering with existing agencies and programs serving parents to drive their mission towards stronger values-driven parenting, leveraging existing pro-social programs for youth to promote and encourage values within their existing programs and curricula, and increasing racial identity, parental socialization messages, and self-esteem, and strategies to strengthen the connection to spirituality, community cohesion, spiritual support resources, and improving relationships. So that was a lot, but you will learn specifically the strategies that will be used later on at the collaboration tables, and Dr. Alicia will go further into that. For our family, children, and education priority team, which is led by Pastor McCoy, they're going to be working on creating and introducing the Youth Village Steering Committee, creating the marketing plan for the Youth Village, making the Youth Village master plan public, developing an organizational strategy to execute the vision of the Youth Village, strengthening the partnership of participating youth services organizations, creating training opportunities for partnering youth services organizations, and developing the New Level Sports Ministries Community Development Corporation, and introducing the Battle Creek Early Learning Neighborhood Collaborative. Again, that's a lot, and you'll learn more at his collaboration table. So that's the Family, Children, and Education priority. A political priority team, which is co-led by Mr. Kerry Whitfield and Mr. Boris Saleh, which both are here. Can you raise your hands? The Political Action Committee will support the African American Collaborative mission to ensure political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all persons and to eliminate race-based discrimination through implementing the following initiatives: a series of voter education forums addressing Battle Creek vote and Calhoun County issues, issues focused on political action notifications through social media usage, local battle groups, and California community advocacy days, and facilitating meetings with elected officials, GOTV efforts, which is Get Out to Vote, voter registration, and poll transportation, partnering with local and national civic organizations to address pertinent issues, and informing the electorate of candidate views to help to hold elected officials accountable. So that's our systems priority team. Last but certainly not least, we have our economics priority team, which is being led by Mother Jesus Lamine. I so affectionately call her mother that it's hard to say Miss or something. I'm just like, Mother. So, Jesus Lamine. The journey to freedom and economic empowerment and economic growth will include the following steps for 2019. Provide a minimum of 8 group training sessions on financial literacy. Provide a minimum of 1 group training session specifically for youth. Provide one-on-one training, financial management services. Individuals may choose to receive the training independent of any group training. Do life insurance policy review for a minimum of 25 seniors, as well as just others in general. Provide a minimum of 4 benefit awareness sessions. Obtain a commitment form of individuals to join a Penny is Plenty savings challenge. Engage individuals in investing in the stock market. Partnering with the Small Business Development Fund, Second News, and Sisters in Business to provide entrepreneurs opportunity for growth and development, and to establish a framework for the opening of a product marketplace. So that's our economics priority team goals for 2019. So as you can see, there's some robust goals and things that they're planning to implement and accomplish during 2019. And we realized that we can't do any of these things on our own, which is why we're here, and we will find out ways to collaborate, partner, and bring in with us as we try to move the needle forward for our community. So for the actual address for 2019, it's going to come to you by way of a documentary which you will watch momentarily as they are getting it prepared. And so immediately following the documentary, Mr. Johnson will come up and move us forward in the program. With that said, we can get started. Thank you.
There are so many variables that contribute to the Black experience. The state of the African American community is they have made it, or they are making it, regardless of their circumstance, regardless of their situation, rich, poor, educated, not educated, articulate, stumbles over their words, no matter what, they are making it.
What about African Americans? Winds are blowing in our direction. This is a season for change.
African Americans are we're the most interesting group of people on the planet, in my opinion. We've been through so much in such a short span of time.
African Americans, I think, are some of the most wonderful people that God ever created. There are people who have shown such resilience and power as they have overcome so many struggles. They've had many obstacles to overcome, but they've done so. And they've done so with great strength, great fortitude, and in a masterful way.
One of the most underrated groups of people in the world. We had to go through so many different trials and tribulations, yet at the same time, through those trials and tribulations, we developed a level of resilience that I believe is second to none.
As African Americans, we're real fortunate at this point in history. We've made some great strides in this country. And yet, as far as we've come, we have a tremendous amount of work that still needs to be done.
African Americans are a powerful people. They are a resilient people. They have, for 400 years, suffered, have experienced intentional oppression, intentional acts to suppress their innate ability to think, to discover, and to create. Black people are powerful, they are resilient, they are strong people.
I think we are one of the richest in terms of who we are as a people, what we offer culturally. I love the diversity within our culture. We're a strong, resilient, powerful people. So what is there not to talk about when it comes to being African American?
The state of the African American community is complex. I don't think that we can look at the African American community and say, well, they're this, or they're that, or, yeah, he's making it, so he's okay. Or, they're illiterate, they're impoverished, they refuse to work, they're just bad.
I believe the state of the African American community is like in a state of flux. We're seeing progress along some lines, and then along others, less so. Overall, I think that we're a compassionate group. I think that we're a strong group and working hard to create change. But there's a lot of barriers that are in our way. There's a lot of inconsistencies that keep us from achieving our full potential.
It's difficult to say what's the state of all African Americans. But it's clear to me from what I see and people I know that again, a lot of African Americans have been able to advance politically, socially, economically. But yet still there's still a large percentage of African Americans who are still left behind. And I think that somehow or another, the political, the social structure must be very intentional and inclusive for that.
We have had to fight for years and years for social justice, for equality, to maintain equity in every arena possible. Thank God we are not where we used to be. However, we're not where we need to be. With that said, I would say that really depending on who's in power in our governmental structure actually determines and helps to determine the rate by which we are able to move forward. Obviously, that's not the only area and or reason that we are able to and not able to move forward, but it plays a big role. And because of that, it's sometimes disappointing the perceived level of apathy and the real level of apathy that we as a people have when participating in the governmental process. Nonetheless, there are people who work on a daily basis to ensure that the needle continues to move in our favor.
Are we moving forward at the rate that we should be? I'm not sure. I am sure that there are still areas that we need to move forward. That there still needs to be some equity in terms of, in general, women should have the same opportunity as men. African American women should receive the same amount of money as being men in the workforce. So yes, but I'm moving forward. But to say whether or not, we're all where we need to be, that's still a big question mark.
In some situations, we're moving backwards, shall I say, or at a standstill at best. Our black-on-black crime is not moving forward. That's going in the wrong direction. But as far as economics and some of the other things that the community is doing, I say absolutely, we're moving forward. We are making advances and strides that we have not seen in times past. I've only been involved with this community for 23 years, and I'm seeing things that I've never seen in my 23 years. And we are positioned to go forward by leaps and bounds.
There are more Black entrepreneurs, there are more small businesses being started, companies being started, Fortune 500 companies run by Black people. Even recently, the youngest executive producer was a young Black girl. So I feel like we're doing a lot right now. I think that we are moving forward.
Even though there's been a little progress, it's not enough progress to bring us where I know we can be as an African American community. I can see that we are in the process now of doing some things a little more enhanced and a little more professional to get where we need to go than we used to do in the past. So yes, I do believe it's a slow process, but I do believe, yes, we are moving out.
The African American community in Meadow Creek, I think is at one of its best places that it's ever been. Not that it doesn't have challenges, not that there aren't changes that are needed to be made, but I see us in a position for doing just that.
African Americans in our community and across the nation, I believe, are moving forward. However, there's like a sort of a parallel of things that are going on. On the one hand, we have like at the micro level, at the granular or individual level, I see African Americans moving with leaps and bounds. You're always seeing where an African American is the first to do a thing, or an African American person is the best at a thing. Recently, we had the first president of the United States, which, unlimited boundaries, at least in terms of perception of what African Americans are capable of. All of that said, I think that at the systems level, when you take into account all the African Americans that are here in our community and are here in the United States, I think that there's a stagnation or a slowing of progress. And I attribute that to a lot of cultural barriers that continue to exist. I think that modes of economy that conspire to help slow down African Americans as we try to progress in society. And there's other forces that are in place that affect all people in general. But there are some that are definitely focused on oppressing African Americans and keeping them from being the best that they can be.
African Americans are moving forward day by day. When I look at the state of wokeness, every generation is becoming more and more woke. We are realizing that it's not by happenstance that these circumstances have become ours. And we're no longer owning our circumstances, but we are owning our future. And so while it may seem, while it may seem like some people, or while it may seem like a large sum of African Americans are going backwards, and a few are stable, and even a fewer amount are moving forward, there are a group of champions that are deepening their learning, and they're reaching back. They are informing our other brothers and sisters, and inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter, some by leaps and bounds. Others are scooting while others are walking or crawling, but we're moving forward.
You know, that's a complex question, because I think there's been a lot of growth, and I think with growth also comes some setback, right? So, I think we are doing well economically. The unemployment rate, the last I checked, was the lowest since the 70s. So that's huge for us. I love the energy around entrepreneurship, around Black economics, and building our own economic system in terms of spirituality, that we're starting to get reconnected back to what that might look like for us. I do think the answer to that kind of may also depend on region. So you notice that there are certain parts of our country that you tend to see more growth amongst African Americans than in other regions of our country. And what I've noticed is the areas that are thriving the most are areas where you see the most cultural capital, where there's a comfort with who we are, right? I can be who I am. Who I am is celebrated and embraced. And so there's a connection to being supported in your community, right? That we can show up Black, authentically Black, and be able to embrace that. That sort of, it seems like it's correlated to our ability to grow.
Well, for me, there was no doubt there has to be some intentional connectedness. As people of color, we have to be connected to those entities in the community, such as the urban, such as the NAACP. Those kind of entities that tends to be drum beats for our issues. So I think the way we do that is being more connected to each other in the community, so that we can increase our capacity, so we can have a greater influence, a greater impact.
There are lots of ways that we can help African Americans move forward. I think one of the best ways is for us to take care of us, for us to continue to support each other, and not always look to the outside for the answers. I think that the African American community, because of its level of resilience, because of the trials and tribulations that we've had to go through, we kind of, in some ways, lose our confidence in our ability to do the things that we need to do to better ourselves. I see that kind of changing in our community, because we have a group of folks that are saying enough is enough, and are putting into motion mechanisms and ways and means of us doing things for ourselves. That doesn't mean it always works. That doesn't mean that we're always making the right choices. After all, we're human beings. But at the end of the day, I think that being inside the community, doing things inside our community with ourselves, even though we may not have the resources that the greater community can offer, us doing it for ourselves helps to, I think it helps to instill confidence in our abilities. And all that said, we do need help from outside of our community to do this, but I don't think that we necessarily need to rely on those outside forces, because those outside forces many times don't take into account the inner strength and skills that we have and we know about, and what we are capable of within ourselves and in our community.
You might not put the person in that you voted for, but at least you had a voice in what was happening.
You know, no one's going to hand us anything. No one's going to give us wealth. No one's going to give us success or education. So we have to take that chance and take that risk to get things done. And I think that's apparent now more than ever. It's apparent in the work that's being done. I think ideally my vision for the Black community looks like, you know, us occupying more land, us, you know, building our own, creating avenues for our kids to succeed by ourselves, because no one's going to help us. I mean, it's been apparent this entire time. But I think moving forward, that's going to be the idea, just doing for ourselves and being independent.
The provision is available for making those changes. I think that the initiatives of the Urban League and the African American Collaborative are positioned to make this the best times ever for this community.
Honestly, I feel that we are in a very unique position as a culture, because historically we've been brought here and created our own culture here in America, and that looks different than African culture. It looks different than, you know, Canadian American culture. It looks different than, you know, Afro-Latina and Latino culture.
Reiterating the cultural capital, excuse me, and getting back to identity. So where I am, I'm noticing, and I think it's one of our struggles is, who are we? And really being connected to what that means. I also think we have to come to a place now where we want to be able to accept that there's a diversity in our culture, right? I think at one point we sort of looked at African American as a one-size-fits-all, right? And we assumed that, you know, we were all the same, we all had the same values, we all had the same traditions, and now we're recognizing that even within that, there's so much diversity. So I feel like we need to get connected to identity, and also some healing. So there's a lot of self-doubt, there's tension in our communities, there's confusion about identity and who we are, there's fear. There's a lot of fear in so many ways that's represented. So I think, and a lot of what I like to focus on is the inner parts, right? We can talk about, well, you know, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and, you know, just get to it. But I think there's a lot of inner work that needs to be done within the African American community.
I love what Dr. Mays would always say. As long as there's a criminal, there will be no problem. As long as there is poverty, I'm not rich. So the idea for me is that until we can get everybody at some point living their full potential, we still have a long way.
I love being Black. I love being African American.
Good morning. Hope that you all enjoyed that video. Today we're here to engage in what I feel is an intense dialogue about the state of the African American community. I want to engage in an intimate dialogue. I don't want this to be superficial, but I want us to be honest with one another. because we have a lot of work that needs to be done. And until we can get honest and name the issue and not just name the issue, right? But name how we're going to address the issue and talk about how we're going to move forward together as a community, we won't get to that good place. So that's where we want to get to today. I want to welcome JR, who is going to be my co-facilitator in this conversation. Please give him a hand. So I just want to start off with a couple of things. Howard has already welcomed you, but I want to say again, welcome and thank you for being a part of this conversation today. Can you give yourselves a hand? We have here some cards, and if our coordinators can help us pass out these cards, we want to give you the opportunity, maybe midway through a thought, you may have an idea that comes your way. You want to ask a question, so we want to give you the opportunity to write those thoughts down so we can get back to them so we don't lose it today. Also, if you have not signed in, I ask that you sign in, and so that we can keep in touch with you. Because our goal really for today is to develop partnership. We want to leave here with some new relationships and some new opportunities to move through our partnership together. So we'll give you the opportunity to get those cards in case you want to write down the question or so. And while we're taking those cards, I just want you just to look around you. Most of us are probably sitting by someone that you know, someone that we came here with today. But look around you and see if there's somebody that you don't know. I just want to warm up the room a little bit. If you know me, you know I'm kind of homely. So look around you and talk to somebody you don't know. Introduce yourself. If we have to go a roll back or so, just let's warm the room up. Say hi, how you doing? How did you survive the cold? Take about another 40 seconds and finish your introduction and make your way back to your seats. Hey, awesome. Let's give each other a hand as we go back to our seat. Thank you. Feels much better now. Don't you feel warmer? Indeed. So before we go into our conversation today, I would just like to mention what we at the Urban League term as our rules of engagement. And I want to share those with you, and I want you to keep those in the back of your mind as we're conversing today. And then we're also going to share some group agreements that we hope that you would share with us. So at Southwestern Michigan Urban League, we believe that in order to, and especially in democratic societies and communities, that engagement is necessary, and it only takes place
when community members influence decision-making, participate in making decisions, and co-govern their communities. So as we're going through our conversation today, as we're looking at building partnerships, we're looking at engaging the African American community and the African American community engaging with the broader community. These are our values. So I'm going to read that again. Engagement is necessary and only takes place when community members influence decision-making, participate in making decisions, and co-govern their communities. Also, taken from the Building the Field of Community Engagement from our partners, Nexus, community partners in Minnesota, community members must have ownership, authorship, and leadership. Ownership, authorship, and leadership level participation in order for the community to truly realize diversity, equity, and inclusion. And finally, entities engaging the community must know the difference between outreach and engagement. And most of all, they must know when it is appropriate to use one or the other, or both. So, here you heard me talk about levels of participation. Today, even sitting in the room, all of us are on different levels of engagement. All of us will not engage at the same level. And some of us, it doesn't mean that we're not capable at engaging on a different level. It only means we don't want to. We're comfortable right here. This satisfies my need. I don't want to go any further. And so we want you to think about this as what we call the social conditioning pipeline of engagement. So the first level of engagement is the street level. And on the street level, there's conversations, events, and promotions. The second level is the peeping level. Community members converse about issues that affect their day-to-day and how they are key players. The third level of engagement is the indulging level. Community members attend decision-making meetings. As you can see, something is building up, right? The next level, the fourth level, is the career level. Community members are comfortable in decision-making forums and begin interacting at those forums. The fifth level of engagement is leadership level. And at this level, community members co-make decisions in the community spaces, They also mentor and recruit community members for other levels of engagement. So today, as we're going through our conversation, think about these levels of engagement. Think about where you fit, or where people you want to engage fit at in this scope of engagement. So right now, we want to talk about our group agreements, how we want to engage in this conversation. So we got it warmed up. I'm feeling warm. Are you still warm out there? Talk back to me. Are you still warm? Thank you. I'm trying to act like I'm not in church, even though I am in church. I might ask y'all to say, man, holler back at me or something. Okay. So today we want you to keep these 8 things in mind as we're going through this conversation. So JR and I, we're going to give you some of what we feel in our heart, and we're going to ask you to respond to that. And we're going to engage that way. And then we're going to move on to another part of the conversation. And we're going to talk to you about what's in our hearts. And then we're going to actually respond. And we're going to do it a third time. And then when we're done with this conversation today, we hope that all of us have a greater level of passion for partnership in the broader community. We believe that partnership is key. We cannot move this community forward in silos. It cannot be about the African American community. It cannot be about the European American community. It cannot be about those with money and those with less money. It has to be about all of us working together. And today, we want to converse. Can we all say converse? Converse. Sorry, I went to church. We all want to converse about how we can work together. And we want you all to be honest. Because we have key leaders in the room today, and we believe that those key leaders need to know how you want to engage, or how people you know want to engage. So here are our agreements.
first agreement is to practice active listening and seek to understand. So many times folks, when they're listening, all they're doing is listening and they disagree with you. What they're listening to is a way that they're going to respond and defend their position or shoot down yours. So we're asking you to in addition to listening actively, to listen for understanding, also try to clear your mind of things that are outside of this room right now and think about what's happening here. That includes silencing your mobiles. So far I haven't heard any go off, so that's a good sign. And also listen with your heart and then speak from your heart. Sometimes when you speak from your heart, it comes out in an emotional, powerful way that makes people rear back. I think that's what we're known for in our community as African Americans. We keep it real. That's what we're asking you to do here. We may not agree with each other, but we still need to hear what you're thinking.
Speak your truth. Use I statements. Say what is in your heart, trusting that your truth is valuable and worth sharing. Own your truth, knowing that it reflects your perspective.
Share airtime and space. If you're a person that likes to talk a lot and you've been talking a lot, think about stepping back and letting somebody else step up. If you're somebody that's got a whole lot to say but never ever says it, like I was back when I was in college, I've overcome that now, as you can see. Step forward because we want to know what you think. There's a lot of deep thinkers out here, and a lot of times our deep thinkers don't do their thing, but we're encouraging you to do that today.
When things get difficult, turn to wonder. When things get difficult and you find yourself becoming judgmental or shutting down in defense, try turning to wonder and ask, I wonder what brought him or her to this place? What does my reaction teach me? I wonder what he feels right now, or what she feels right now. Where do we both share common goals?
Practice both and thinking. I think, a lot of folks that do social justice work been to these workshops, and you understand that both and means that you got to figure out ways to operate with uncertainty and operate in ways that are collaborative. So there's a school of thought that is either one way or another, and that's kind of a binary tradition. What we're encouraging is for you to try and take what someone says and add on to it. Even if you don't disagree, try to get those nuggets that where you can agree and have common ground, because that helps us to continue to move the conversation forward.
Allow others and yourselves to grow with it without freezing each other in time. We can give ourselves permission to make mistakes and reflect on what we did or said, holding ourselves accountable. If we say or do something offensive or oppressive today, we can grow and change as a result of that process of reflection and accountability without staying in that difficult moment forever.
I feel like I'm part of a rap duo. No fixing. That's an important one. A lot of times, like men, a lot of men tend to operate from a position because of our culture to try and fix something all the time. So keep that in mind today, that we're not here to fix others. That's not our job. We're here to discover our own truths and listen to others in order to appreciate and understand their truths.
And finally, accept and expect discomfort and unfinished business. Embrace the feeling of discomfort because it can make us stretch and grow in profound ways. This work does not end today. It is an ongoing process for each of us as individuals and within our organizations, communities, cultures, and societies. So let's get to discussion. How about it? Just as a note, as we're in the discussion, some of us might find ourselves in a passion moment that's outside of the direct conversation. So what we'll do is we'll hear you out, then we'll put that note in the parking lot. Is that all right? Is that all right? Okay. So let's get to the conversation. Today's theme and passion, partnership, and practice. The jurisprudence, a big word I saw on TV, of engaging diverse communities. What am I saying? In other words, what is the law? What are the rules? How just to be direct, how do you engage black folks? How do you engage African Americans? If you see throughout the video, those that were apart went back and forth between African American and black. I actually don't prefer the word black, but since I've been in this work, I've been using it more because I've been around people who use the word black. I was in a conversation with one of our seniors, and she used the word Negro. And so, we all see ourselves differently. It's that diversity that sits within our community, that self-identity. Please.
Why don't you like the term black people?
For me personally, I feel that we spend so much time talking about our color, and to me, color is not our issue. Color is the construct that was created to oppress us, but that's not the issue. The issues are the behaviors that surround the oppression. So when I talk, I like to speak of myself from where my ancestors came from, which is Africa. I'm an American, so I'm African American. That's my heritage. But really, in these contexts, I want to talk about behaviors and not color. And I think sometimes when we talk black, white, we fixate on issues of black and white, and it's not about color. It's about our behaviors.
The reason I asked you that is theoretically, you can have a white person from South Africa. They could refer to themselves as an African American. So, equating African American to being black isn't always the same.
Yes, sir. I totally agree. I remember my first time meeting my first white African, and I can tell you I had a moment. He told me he was African, and I mind my manners, and I'm just smiling, but I'm like, you are not. But he was. He was born there. 3 generations there, but in my brain, you are not. You are European. But totally agree. Thank you, I appreciate that. And we like that kind of dialogue, so let's keep it going. Today we're talking about how do you engage diverse communities. And so for me, as I'm sitting in my office, Mrs. Gray, and I'm like, what is the problem? Let's just be honest, it's not a black and white issue, but because of slavery and the slaves and the whites were in charge, and the Africans or the blacks were not in charge, it's been a black and white issue. So today, if you hear me talking a lot about black and white, African American, European American, it's because of that. But I recognize that it's about all of us in the community. Indeed.
We also need to make sure that we include our brown brothers and sisters and our folks from the Asian continent too. There's a lot of different ethnicities and races and religions that are out there. So there's a lot of diversity. So it's easy for us to go binary and black, white, but there's all kinds of things all in America.
Right. So I'm trying to figure out what is the problem, right? When I'm in community, I'm at every table that is offered to me. I don't say no to anything. We're doing this. I'm on my way. So I'm running here, I'm running there. But I'm trying to figure out what is the problem. Because we get to these tables and there's tension. And then when the tension comes, people take flight, right? I don't want to deal with this. People are frustrated because they can't get their way, right? Or they can't get the other people to understand where they're coming from. And so I'm in my office and I say, I think, Ms. Kyra, I think I found it. Our problem in the community is passion. Because no European American is going to spend all of their time talking about how they're going to help the African American community if they don't have a passion for the African American community. Why would a person spend every day of their lives trying to help the African American community if they didn't have passion? If they didn't have love? That's not a hobby. That's not a hobby. I mean, somebody can find anything to do besides try to figure out how to help African Americans. Yet at the table we have African American, we have European American, and we have tension. One common thread amongst both communities at the table is passion. So I said said to myself, we have tension at the passion. Our passions come together, and they are not the same passion. So I came up with this analogy, and as we move forward, I want you to think about it. Think about this. Does it make a difference? Think about two different types of passion here. Does it make a difference if you are in a house that is on fire, or if you are on the outside looking at the house that is on fire? Both have passion, but I feel like we as African Americans are in a house and the house is on fire. It's been on fire for a long time, right? Right? We're in the house and we're trying to figure out how to get out the house. Some of us have got out the house. Some of us are on the porch. Some are in the attic. Some are in the basement. Some are in the closet. We're in this house that is on fire. We're trying to get out the house. And we're creating ways, but it seems like there are forces that are keeping us in the house. There are forces that are outside of the house, our European American brothers and sisters that are helping us. I know this sounds really crazy, because I'm telling you right now, if this church, God forbid, if this church caught on fire, I don't care what anybody's saying. If you are out that window, I'm coming out, right? But we know that the condition of Africans is a little different, right? Work with me. But those European Americans that are outside of the house, they have a different passion. It's still passion, but their perspective that is influencing their passion is different.
So for me, I almost feel like because of my social position, because of the advantages that I have gotten as a result of the family that I was born in, I feel like I'm in the yard of the house that's on fire, okay? There's a lot of people in our community where this stuff is so real for them and day to day in the way that they live, that they have an urgency that for me on the outside, I can feel that heat, and that heat is uncomfortable for me. But I don't have the same exact urgency that they have when you're in there trying to pay your bills, when you're out on the streets moving, and you don't know whether violence is going to be perpetrated on you from the mainstream or from within your community. There's a sense of urgency there that does not exist the farther away you get from that house. So there's folks that are even farther, like say they're down the block and around the corner. They're not even a part of our house, which is the black house that is on fire. And they can look and they can think in the abstract and say, oh yeah, that's a terrible situation. But I've come up with these strategic ways in like 7 to 10 years, we can come up with a solution. That doesn't get it for the people that are in that house, and that doesn't get it for me since I'm so close to the house that I can feel that heat. So there's that, and so then that goes to that tension that you're talking about. The folks that are in the house, like we got to do something now. People that are close and can feel that heat and are getting burned, we got to do something now. People down the block, around the corner, even in another city, it's like, oh yeah, that is a problem. But we got to do some other things too before we get to that. We have to align our ducks and get them in a row before we activate this program. And to me, that's where a lot of tension happens for folks that are inside versus outside of that house.
So today we want to talk a little bit about how do these very different types of passions. We agree that they're both passions, right? We all agree. We all agree. They both have passion. We're sitting at the table. We may live on different sides of the community. We may have different ancestors, but we have a common love, and that is to see freedom, see liberation, see a new day for the African American community. But we're getting into this tension point because we're coming from two different sets of passions. They're both passions. So the question is, how do they coexist within the community? How do we actually tackle problems together if we have different priority systems or different priority measures? Any responses from our audience?
I'm not trying to dominate the conversation, but in my opinion, those passions that you reference, they're very real. And at that table that you speak of, when you sit at that table and you recognize that there are tensions, I think the thing next need to try to surmise is why are there those tensions and what are those tensions? Because when you have different people, for example, if you have black people, you have some white people, and there's tension at that table in reference to race, black people tend to have tensions about it because of the pain and the hurt that we've had to endure as people in regards to discrimination and slavery and other restrictive things that we had to endure with this country. White people have those tensions because a lot of them feel guilt and they feel ashamed that they personally may not have participated in those particular things, but their ancestors may have. And as a result, they feel that tension because they feel a sense of guilt or shame. And black people feel that tension as a result of hurt and anger because of their ancestors and what they had to go through in regard to that situation.
We have two back here, and I'll come back to you, Mother.
Morning. My name's Doug Nettleton. I'm a retired Presbyterian minister, and I feel like I have a new lease on life. So you could love to talk and be a part of any conversation. So, and I'd like to be a part of the values collaboration because I think what I'm hearing is we don't want to have barriers and either or, both and so the both and comment that I would have is really, I think we're living in a tipping point time when we're all in a house that's burning. And that's what's different from the 1960s maybe, or the 1940s or 30s or 20s. And so the concern for the value of the community and building and strengthening the community in all of its diversity engages a wider area of people that are trying to that are in the burning house, but they're still trying to burn it down. And there are people in the building that are trying to get out. What I'm saying is, my insight is the tipping point of these, I'll just say it, Donald Trump time, is we're all in a burning house. So I'd love to keep talking. I tend to talk a lot, so I'll give it up. Sister.
Hi, I'm Tawanda, and from an education perspective, with regards to the prevalence of youth among violence and the high crime rate, murder rate, when you talk about the house on fire, you talk about the tension in these tables. Well, we want to go to our young people. We want to talk about the fact that the student has to be introspectively introduced to the climate that allows the inducement for him to identify the perpetrator. We have the school shootings, we have the students that are returning, we have the students that are committing suicide from cyberbullying. We have an education system that needs to be put in check. Contrary to saying when we're not allowing our students exposure, is the abstract, articulate expose our students can address. Disparity is going to arise from paradox when the choice of the student becomes from instant social media, vocational, educational, parent cultural relativism. These are things that the children are already being introduced to. My grandson is 6 years old, and he wakes me up when he's ready for breakfast. You see what I'm saying? He already got his tablet, he already doing his thing. He already got his day planned out. So when we talk about these tables, when we talk about what we're putting our students fire, think about we live in an instant gratification society. Everybody wants everything right now.
fire who made it out the fire. And why not bring that person to the table? Because that person can relate to both parties and can give a different perspective. That can, what's lacking is the understanding of each other, not necessarily the difference in passion, but the difference in understanding, and we function from our understanding. So why not bring somebody to the table who has an understanding of both parties and can mesh the understanding and give the person on the outside an understanding of what it's like to be on the inside and vice versa.
Absolutely agree with that. I also want to add on to that. That person who used to be on the inside, who comes to the outside and tries to engage with those people that are around the way, there's a tension in that because of the cultural differences and the experiential differences and the way that you process and the way that you think about what the problem is. And so that person that comes out of that fire and has a great deal to contribute needs some kind of a support system by the folks on the outside who can cocoon him and help to nurture him even as he or she communicates what those urgencies are. Because typically what happens is that person comes out and everybody that's on the outside that don't experience how hot that fire is are going to say, yeah, it's bad, but... And so then that person comes away feeling in that same spot where he's oppressed, and then if he's not careful, he's going to poof, get on fire outside of the house, and then he's got to deal with that whole thing. Some of it call racism, we call it racism, but we do need to figure out ways to bring in the people who are inside the fire outside, and the people on the outside need to figure out ways to support them and not be so condescending because they're different, and not be so judgmental in what they think from the outside needs to be done for the things that are happening on the inside.
So we have a comment over here, we'll come back.
Hi, my name is Mark Robertson. I'm from Faith Assembly Christian Church. Born and raised in Videography, been here all my life. And this is the first time I've ever attended one of these, and it's real interesting. And it's a shame on my part, but not only well, I'm impressed. With that,
Shame in what way?
say that again.
You said it was a shame, but
That of me not knowing that, how can I put it, me not knowing that stuff like this exists. So with that being said, I think, well, I have a son now, so my mind is, I'm thinking about my son. And with that being said, there has to be a mutual respect. That's first. A lot of times, us as adults, we put too much emphasis on bigger things, and some of the things are really not that big. Some of it is self-explanatory, and it's a learned behavior. With that being said, if there's no respect, then all you're doing is listening, and you're not hearing at all. So you said, well, how do we fix that? I don't have that answer. And that's what I'm here. But I think to start that dialogue, it has to be a mutual respect. You can't come into my home and I know for a fact that we're not on the same level. So I must stop that at the door before you even enter. And I don't hear a lot of us, and I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of us, we tend to leave God out of the picture. We get so caught up in our ways that we forget. And I don't want to be one of those persons. I have a son. I have a lot to offer. I'm kind of nervous of it. But I have a son. I have a lot to offer. My pastor, Pastor McCoy, he's
and we have Mother, and then we're going to push the conversation a little bit forward, and then we'll have Pastor and Mrs. Sharon.
My name is David. I just thought that it would be important to recognize, so people that are in the house and people on the outside of the house, I think what separates both people are perspectives, because I don't feel like I'm in the house. I feel like I'm outside of the house. And I think I feel like I'm outside of the house and wanting to help others, but I think what hinders people in the house is their perspective. I think the house is really not on fire. I think when we think it's a cry out for help, maybe people don't realize that they have the ability to make it, that they have resilience, that they can make it, that they can do great things. I think when we start really realizing who we truly are internally, then even though you're going to have barriers, everybody's not going to accept you, everybody's not going to do that, but regardless of who you are, you're going to go through some type of situation. I really believe that perspective is what keeps a lot of people from those. I do think that it's important for leaders or people that see themselves as leaders to help others up, but I do know that a lot of our hindrance is our own self. It's our own self-imprisonment. It's not somebody that's stopping us. And a lot of times we put excuses on people saying the man is hindering us. And I think that is really that's not a good way to look at things. We're going to come against things, but we're made to be determined. We're made to push forward. So I think the house is a perspective, and we, regardless if you made it out of the house or you see yourself as made out of the house, I think that I'm the kind of person that I look at myself like, doesn't matter what I go through, no one's going to stop me. Race is not going to stop me. You thinking that I'm too young is going to stop me. You thinking that I'm young and I'm black is not going to stop me. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to look for my yes. And I think we have to engrave that in our neighbors, in our friends, in our communities, and I think we're going to make it. So many people, I want to say, so many people that are leaders, they have so many no's. When you go through so many no's to get that yes, that's success right there. And so that's my comment.
Well, I absolutely agree with you, and I also want to go back to that note again, because there are, for every person that's like you or like me, there's thousands of other black boys and young women as well who have done exactly what you have done and what I have done, but still cannot get out of that grinding poverty that exists because there are outside forces that keep weighing us down at a systems and policy level. And unless you have certain advantages, like I said, I came from a solid home. I got an education. I was able to see beyond what was in my community, because I came from I'd say a lower middle class black community. But that's the challenge, is that both of these things exist at the same time. But there are going to be exceptions, and I would challenge you to really look at the numbers that show us statistically how many folks were able to jump up out of their conditions and their situations who do have that will to get out, but yet do not have the means or the support to get out. I just want to point out this one cat that I know. He's got like a barbecue business, and he has methodically tried to develop his business over years. He's made some traction, but then he inevitably falls back. Why? Because he doesn't know the game. He tries to know the game, but the people that know the rules don't share that with him. He's tried to do things that white folks out there do, or say upper middle class black folks do, but because of the way he presents himself, and he can't help that because that's where he's from, he didn't get any opportunity with the banks. They don't listen to him. So I get a little passionate about that, because I told you I feel like I'm on the outside too, in the yard. And I feel guilty whenever I try to say that, yeah, I'm in that house on fire too, because I know a lot of people that are really on fire, and they got third-degree burns. I'm in like a slow rotisserie where I'm feeling that heat happening. But there's some folks that are straight up in that cooker that are literally on fire.
How old are you? 11. Let's give him a hand. So we're going to hear from Mrs. Sherrod and then Pastor McCoy, and the conversation is really moving along healthily. But as we move forward, we want to go back to Mother before we... Oh, I forgot about Mother. Okay, so before Mother responds, and then Mrs. Sherrod, and then Pastor McCoy, let's think about, and we've already transitioned to the next part of our conversation, let's think about what does it actually, what does it mean to actually employ a both and strategy. How do we become more intentional about addressing, get ready, about addressing our innate desire to want to control. Our innate desire. I know we're talking.
One second. There's somebody's vehicle, a Kia, that's in the circle right here. We need to move it now. So if you have a Kia.
Sorry, Pastor. And then also, there's a silver Nissan, DNT 5031. Your trunk is open, and you have gifts. Open church. All right. So with her mother, Mrs. Sherrod, and the pastor. But think about it. What does it mean to actually employ? Employ. You say employ? Employ a both and strategy. And how do we become more intentional about addressing? Can we say our? Because we all have it. Whether we want to admit it or not, I'm diagnosing it today. Whether we want to admit it or not, how do we address our innate desire to want to control? We all want to control. Whatever, however you dress it up. When we get it down to the bare bones, whether it's, I think this is greater because our innate desire to want to control. And how can two individuals control one movement? One intervention. Are two heads really a monster? What are the potential positive outcomes of collective impact? Infused with what you were going to say already.
Mine was before. I just wanted to respond to what was said when we were talking. I don't believe that we should be depending on the others to support us. I believe as we make it out, there's more than one person making it out. We should be supporting each other and giving collective support. Yes, we have to tear down the wall, and they have to learn to embrace us, and we have to learn to network with them. But in the meantime, that's what the collaboratives, etc., to learn how to undergird and support each other as we transition.
Hi, I'm Richard Compton. As I was listening to you talk about the house and the people in the house, I thought about the time that someone asked me to write an equity policy. And I said to the person, it's hard for me to do that because I don't believe there is equity. I saw it as her perspective of what equity is and what mine is. And a prime example is when I went to Africa to build houses. For me, a house was value. It wasn't something that was sticks or of clay. But the perspective from the Africans was that they had houses built from sticks. When I went to Mexico to work at the workers there, I was told that those people there were losers. But what I had in my experience was different. Because the people that I met were not losers. I was told that they didn't come to church, and at 5:30 in the morning, those people were walking miles and miles. So our perspectives are so different based on our experiences and based on what people tell us. So in order for us to have, I think in order for us to work on being, we have to be equitable. We have to have that mutual respect. We have to look at other people's perspectives and not be judgmental of what they are. When I was asked to write a policy on equity, I said, well, I can't write a policy on equity for children because the people who are working with children are not equitable people. They're probably needs. So unless we're speaking the same language, unless we're on the same page, the playing field is not level. It's not. And so what we have to do is, instead of trying to be in control of things, allow ourselves an opportunity to learn from other people. Because in traveling to other countries, I've learned that my perspective is not the only. I've learned that I'm not always right. Their right may not be my right. But if we are equitable people, then we will be able to see other perspectives. And as the young lady said about age, there will be no ageism. It won't matter whether you're young or old or middle age, because the field will be leveled because of that equity that's there. So if we think more of being equitable as opposed to being a race or a color or a gender or an age, then we can become successful in what we do. So real support and not superficial stuff. Because people are surface people. They say one thing in front of their face, and then they're actually thinking something else because they already have the speech degree. But if you don't speak the same language that I speak, we can be from the same place, say the same words, but have different meanings. So I think we have to have some clarification in the answer.
I'd also like to add, just a tad, that it's not just across race, black and white, or black and brown, or black and Native American. It's within our own community, the way that we communicate to each other. Folks have certain experiences from other people. You try to talk and communicate. There's a language barrier that's there. Somebody talked about different cultures and stuff. It's in our community as well as across different communities.
Yeah, and I love it. I'm pretty sure I heard it before, but it never said it the way it did when Mrs. Sherrod said we have to be equitable people. And I hear a lot about people producing equity. But I'm wondering, after you said that, can you really produce equity if you're not an equitable person? That's it.
Well, you know, I'm different. I got different views. And just like we can't say we're exceptional people, and then we're talking about asking for permission to succeed or to be progressive. And that's what I'm hearing right now, is that we're talking about going someone else's table and there's tension. Why would we make our own table? We can do our own thing. I am a black man, and I'm unapologetically black. I'm a black man. I'm not ashamed of that. If this is an Urban League forum, I don't recall Urban League serving anybody but black people. I'm here to talk about black people. No other people, not Asians, not people of color, other brown people. We're here to talk about black people and how we succeed. If we have our own table, we have no problem. I have my own table. These people come to the table, black people come, we have no tension. We're talking about how we can succeed, and we're succeeding. When Martin Luther King wasn't shot because he had a dream. He was shot because he started talking about group economics. It's about us. We don't have to have permission to go into other people's houses. I'm not going to let Carl come into my house and tell me what to do. I'm going to have my own house. And then I can control my own house. I want our young people to understand that they're black and that they're exceptional. They don't have to go to any table trying to prove anything to anybody. It's group economics. We can do this ourselves, and we're doing it ourselves. It doesn't matter if Democrats are in office or Republicans are in office. Black people for over 100 years have owned 1/2 of 1% of this nation's wealth. We have not progressed. So stop all of this Democrat, Trump, all of that. My life has not changed because Trump is in office. I'm still eating. I'm still driving a car. I'm still making money. Because it's not about him, it's about me. It's about us coming together as a group economics. So that's my thing. I'm a black man. I'm here to talk about black progression. How do we progress? Okay? And we can't go into anybody's table. I'm not interested in anybody's table. I'm interested in my table, our table, black people's table. If we're exceptional, let's act exceptional.
I like both. I like everything I just heard, actually. So far, so good with the conversation. I think it is both and. I say that just because the exposures that I had growing up and being in one community, of course, always being black, I'm black, no matter what, probably black. That's not going to change. And I love being part of black organizations, and that's not going to change. But I think it's a both and because we do absolutely need to have our own. But I think it's important that we still recognize that we are not by ourselves. And so let's recognize that we're not by ourselves. It's important for us to have our own so people can recognize what we have, but also still have that relationship with everyone else because we are a world that's full of everyone. And so I think there's a way to, sorry, crazy people, so I'm not shaking. I think there's a way to do both good works within ourselves and we don't have to ask permission. I get that. Don't have to ask permission for anyone to tell us what we can and cannot do. That is absolutely true. But at the same time, I think there's plenty of opportunity for us to say, okay, we're not going to ask you what we can and cannot do, but how about you come and be a part of what we do? And having that dialogue and that relationship so that way, as a community, for those who don't have the exposure, because exposure is huge. I think exposure is the key to everything. For those that don't have exposure to the black community, cannot have the exposure to the black community. I know I have a lot of my friends are predominantly white. Why? Because I grew up in Lakeview. But at the same time, they love to be a part of what we do. One of my best friends used to come to church all the time with me here, and she's a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed, beautiful girl. But she used to come to church, and she would love the experience of a black church because she never got to experience that. So I exposed her to something different, and she became a part of the conversation. Now she goes around, and she's actually worked for Michelle Obama too in the White House. And now she goes around advocating for black people to be, or black and brown kids, because she not only took her, what she's experienced with me and my family, she's taken her journey to work in inner city schools, to do all these other things, to really get an understanding of other cultures, and now she advocates, not to say, I'm here just trying to, make me look good as a white girl trying to support black and brown people. She's like, no, we have to recognize that they're here too, and we need to respect them, and know that they're here to create something great too. So I think it's a whole thing.
So we have about 15 more minutes before we transition to our collaborative table. And I'm really enjoying this conversation. I believe it's been productive. You agree? I want to answer this question. I want us to answer this question together. How do we become more intentional about addressing our innate desire to want to control? Yes, ma'am.
Morning, everyone. I'm Tiffany Blackman. I like to kind of address my hats as soon as I start talking about the community, because I'm in a position now where I have to. So I'm putting on my Tiffany hat. I'm born and raised in Battle Creek. That's my perspective. Black woman for sure. Definitely identified as a mixed woman growing up. But my life experience as a black woman. Everything I've done, everything I've had to climb over, everything I've had to be challenged with, succeeded at, it's all as a black woman. So I really feel strongly that if we as a community do not come together, we will find ourselves in the same exact position we were in 30 years ago. It is not about our individual organizations. It's not about our we are exerting many levels of control. If we can't think broader than that, I mean, I love the fact that we're sitting here having this conversation today on MLK Day, and I really appreciate that people that are in the room that aren't Black are in this room. They didn't have to, but they're here. They, just like Alexa said, they have to be at the table. Like, I do get the point of not being at the table all the time, being invited. You mentioned earlier, every table I'm invited. No, I'm about to make some tables. That's gonna happen. Because some tables that you're invited to, we're still getting at the forms of control that say, we will partner if you do X, right? And we're not up front saying, I can't do X. I can't do X and I need to do B. Like, I'm way over there and I can't do that over there. But if you listen to me and what I can do and what we need, what we really truly need, which might be a deeper investment than, say, brands, then let's talk about that. Because I can't do this thing over there. We have to get beyond silo thinking, that individual, like, pillar, this is my family, my four and no more. We need to get to where we're going, up to suburbia, and then we're out in whatever part of the city, and we don't need to worry about the kids at BCPS. They'll figure it out. No, we need to come together as a community and say, this is not about my vision. This is about the community vision for what we want to see for our kids, see for ourselves, being employed, having opportunity, all of that together. Because if we don't, then we'll never, ever, ever get there. During the Civil Rights Movement, it wasn't just about Blacks. I mean, Hispanic Latinos were there having their own Civil Rights Movement as well. Native Americans were there having their own, I mean, every person of color, literally, in the U.S., were a part of the Civil Rights Movement. We have to do this together. We have to figure out solutions for ourselves, and we have to be willing to even listen to the people that do hold power, that are trying to direct, or whatever the case may be. We need to listen enough, not just to respond, listen enough to say, you know, I hear you, and I see your point of view, but that's not even what we need. Like, what we need is something completely different, and I need to be open and honest about that, because otherwise I'm just digging myself into a grave of doing what you want me to do. But we have to get out of that control mindset of it's just about my thing. It's about our thing. And we need to come together and do that.
Hi, everybody. My name is Vanya Word. A lot of people know me already. I work for a company called Second News. You guys will learn a little bit about that later. But I feel like the main problem with the power question is allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. Like, if you think about it, if you think about everything that the Black community's been through since slavery, we're hard. We're all very hard. And we're all like, hey, I'm gonna put this shell around myself so that I don't get hurt. So I'm trying to protect myself, but at the same time, in tandem, being able to say, I'm going to allow you to know what I'm actually thinking. And I'm gonna allow you into my community so that you can actually see what's going on. It's not like a word of mouth type thing. I feel like a lot of things get lost in translation when we talk. I think the vision comes from the youth, but also from the elders that have the experience. I feel like it's not an ageist thing. I feel like we have to come together. But that vulnerability piece is the biggest thing for me, and just allowing ourselves to be open. That's it.
I'm Tashabi. I just wanted to say that I think we as Black people position each other because, like, under the get out of the fire, they feel like they no longer have to go back and help. So they feel like they are above the people who are still struggling. And I think that we condition each other. And I agree that we should have our own table first before we invite anybody else. I feel like we have to have a foundation. If we can't come to another group that's stronger than us and be able to work, if we fall apart, we have to start where we are first together before we can start adding everybody else. So that way we're as one, we're able to talk and communicate with other groups without the tension because we all agree. We're all one body. But we can't do that if we're not together, we don't have a foundation, we're steadily adding people. So now we have other people's views. And then we have like everybody has their own view in our own body. So that's where the tension and stuff comes from. And like I said, we have to start with us first. I mean, I know some people feel like, okay, well, you know, when we need to act, we do in time. Well, we need to start with us first. Because a lot of times we have a lot of issues that we have to deal with within us and with dealing with each other. Because some black people can't deal with other black people. It is what it is. We on different levels. I mean, honestly, you know, we all learn differently. We all have different situations. We all have different experiences. So we need to come together with that first. And then in order to deal with everybody else.
Just wanted to say, before we go to the next one, what you guys are saying reminds me of a whole lot of folks that operated at the national level back in the 60s. And that was Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. They had different approaches to what needed to be done. And I'm hearing a lot of those same sorts of approaches, and neither one is wrong. Both are right. The trick or the question or the problem is not the problem, but the challenge is how do we take both sides and come together in the way that Malcolm were starting to come together when they were assassinated.
Good morning. My name is Jorge Ceballos. I've been doing equity work for 20-some years, and one of the hard lessons that I've learned, and it's hard because of what you said about the need to control that we all seem to have. What I've learned is that there is collective wisdom that always leads to the best step forward. And it's not always what I think would be best. When I look at a situation and work with people, I think I have to nail down. But when you get a group of people together, you have a lot of different opinions about how things need to be addressed. And what I've learned again is that it may not be the perfect solution, but it's the best solution because it comes from the community and it's being, it creates a sense of consensus when you actually are able to listen to others and lean into what the community as a whole is saying they want to do. Last thing I want to say is, I hear you, Pastor, about this being a conversation about the Black community. If you haven't noticed, I'm not Black. I want to put it out just in case. The reason why I'm here is because I want to be of service to the Black community in whatever way the Black community needs to have to be of service. That's all I need to say. Thank you.
So we have about time for 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there somebody else on this side that wants to jump in? Okay, so we'll take 4 comments from this side. We'll start in the back and work our way to the front, and then we'll transition.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gavin Pollard. Most of you guys know me, some of you don't. But working in the community and just observing things in the community, I see that there is a sense of control over people in their different organizations and their sects, and that is causing a divide in the community in which people from outside of the community, many of which I work with every day in customer service, they bring that to my attention. And they don't see a sense of collective unity in our community. I believe that's what we need to take control over our community, because control in itself is a selfish term. If you're controlling something, that's basically selfish. We need to learn how to be a selfless community and learn how to control our environment and not just ourselves.
I just point one thing out. The Black community is not the only community that has dissent and have issues with unity. In the white community, look what's happening at the national level, or just look what's happening up on city council here in Battle Creek. So white folks have issues just like we do. I don't know about the brown and Native American community as much, but I really hope that we can accept, yeah, we have issues, but these other communities have issues too, just as bad or if not worse.
Sorry, I got you. Hi everybody, my name is Javon, new to Battle Creek, but I'm definitely interested in knowing you all. I'm really here to listen and learn, but the little learning that I've done so far, when we talk about this issue of control, just like Gavin was saying, I think it's an issue really of being selfless, right? Being selfless. If we're honoring MLK today, he sacrificed his life for the things that he believed in, right? So as we think about what it takes to be selfless, it's something that goes beyond just ourselves. So for example, I know we're in a church, I look at that cross and I think about Jesus Christ, who sacrificed his life so that we can have so much more, so we can learn how to be selfless. So when we come to these issues of like dealing with grace and structure, you have to deal with it at the individual level and systematically. It's a both and. But how can we deal with some of these forces we talk about beyond ourselves? It takes power. And I think that power is offered through somebody like Jesus Christ. What gives us power? It's not. Like, I respect everybody's faith tradition in here. I think it's important to respect. But when you're dealing with something like racism, it's more than just beyond the power of the people. We need something that's endowed from us, from our creators, to be able to fight against these forces. And when we think about unity, unity takes a spiritual connection. Because if I only look at you by what I see, I'm gonna always find a way to be divided from you. And the last point I'll make is tension. Like, we see tension as a negative when it's really an opportunity. Like, some of us that are outside the building need to be running towards the fire to go in, to help people. Like, that's what selflessness is. Like, we see tension and we want to run, but through tension, that's where you get relationship from. That's where you get, like, you've been with me in the trenches, whether you're black or white, whatever color. So I ask all of us in here to search our heart of hearts and ask ourselves, why are we doing this work? Is it for our own agenda, or so we can have a platform in the community and people are looking to us? Or is it because I really care about the needs of others and I really want to see somebody go before me? If we support the black community, then all communities will thrive. And our last thing, MLK said, is a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So we have to start where we are and work from there.
Hello again. I think it's better for a black person, say for a black man or woman, to stick together instead of standing by themselves alone. I think it's better for them to stick together, but when they stick together, they can brainstorm more, look for more resources or help the situation they're in, or help the situation we're all in.
I wanted to address your question. You said, how do we address the innate ability to control or desire to control? And I'm saying, okay, we'll look at control as a negative thing. And I'm thinking, let's harness that control. Like, that means you need to be doing something. If everybody has the ability or want to control something, that means get that desire or that vision that you have in your heart and you start that. Because I've been thinking about this, okay, we want our own table, but really, I don't want to be at a table where there's no resources. There's no support. I need some money at this table. We all, guess what? Money runs the world. Money runs the world. When you have big business, you can do things. If I had $1 billion, you know what I can do? Well, okay, we're gonna start this fund, and everybody gonna have an opportunity to start the business of their dream. Okay, you can do some really great things here. So what I'm saying control something, maybe you should harness that. And if you have a vision, don't let it be a bad thing. Do something where you are. Stop trying to control somebody else's vision. Do what you want to do and collectively be business owners together. I think that's what I think control has to be looked at. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. Let's control together. Let's control so we can get people off the street. Let's control who we paying to cater our events. Let's control these different things for the good and not for the bad. Don't misuse control because somebody's got to control something.
Morning. My name is Kerry Whitman. I guess I'm a practical, a realist. Reality is that I am a descendant from slavery. Reality is most whites are descendants of white folks, Europeans. Being a slave or a descendant from slavery says that I have to carry on some burdens and bear the barriers of my ancestors. White folks, they had privilege. And what they carried on in their generations was having the ability of being privileged. So when you're at the same table, you have a person that's a descendant of slavery, and you have another person that's a descendant of privilege. You may not be equal, but what you can do is leverage. Now, unfortunately, I can't have my own table. I'm not as good as my pastor over here. Because the reality is that nobody has a table, not here in America. If that was the case, we will have $5.7 billion into our home. He doesn't have this table either. Why doesn't he have his table? Because he leverage, or we leverage, why he doesn't have his table. We said, now we control the house. The house is simple. The house is saying, you no longer have these privileges. You have to listen to us. We as the black community, and one of the major drivers behind the African American collaborative is that in numbers there is power. In numbers there is power. Much like in the house there is power. That prevents those kinds of disparities. We need in our black community to be in numbers so that we can achieve those things that we want at that table. We can be at that table. And if I have your support, I can guarantee you that I will have power at that table.
We have done some good learning.
There's one more.
Yeah. We have engaged in some great dialogue. I believe that has been rich. We're getting ready to transition to our collaboration tables where we can actually put some action items before us. But before we go there, we're going to have one final comment. Our coordinators are going to talk just for about 10 seconds about their collaboration table, and then we're going to transition. So I'm going to ask Dr. Johnson to give a remark, but I'm going to ask her to infuse this into her remark. That's why I waited. It's just my first second.
10 seconds, right?
She's going to respond, but I'm going to ask her to infuse this. How does intellectual humility impact?
So first I'm going to answer the innate ability to control. What we need to do is, with our innate ability to control is eliminated. I'm sorry, but control is divisive, it's selfish, it's traumatic. We need leadership, right? So we need to channel control into leadership. My dad used to tell me, power by itself is a bad thing. It's the misuse and abuse of power. And so we need to eliminate this whole concept of control and look at leadership.
you ain't got it. I had a former employer. He was a great boss. He was a horrible leader. Okay? Horrible leader. Because leaders really are inclusive, right? He could run a business, right? Needless to say, that business dissolved. Really, so it's inclusive. When you're a real leader, you have the ability to build up other leaders. You respect all voices that are at the table. Even when you disagree, it's not about right or wrong, right? The majority of us just want to feel heard. You'd be amazed how forward and how much you can progress just by listening and acknowledging that, right? You don't always have to get to this power struggle. We get stuck there. So we need to channel that need to control into leadership. And I think our communities can do some work on what that looks like, right? How do we provide skills? Because all of us are leaders in our own ways, right? How do we provide skills? And so, to segue, that's kind of like what the values group is doing. So we want to get our community back rooted into what's really important to us, right? So historically, we're a values-driven community, and we just want to get back to that, right? So how do we have values-based families and parenting and education, and just decision-making in general, right? How do we get back to that? So that's what this group is about. And what was your last question? Did I? This one.
What do you want me to say? Just give a short 10-second spiel about what you're going to talk about in collaboration.
Okay, we have I'm with the Family, Youth, and Education. We have the best film. Because we are doing something. It's something you can see and hold. If you want to come to our table, we'll go to anybody else's table. That's not too certain. Come to our table. The table with all the stuff on it. Come.
I have the economics priority team table, and you can get involved in so many ways. It's not just all about finance. I have several people here today who won't just be speaking with me. I have second views here. I have Vanya and I have Justin, who will be down there. I have Terrace Todd, and I have Devin Clark with me. They will be there to help you with financial planning. I have Wanda Drain here, who will be helping you to learn about benefits. We have all sorts of things available to help you cut your expenses, but you don't know about them all because there's no one central location. Wanda Drain is coordinating all of that information. I have Jessica Sutton, who is here to help you with learning financial literacy, and we're offering something we'd like for you to come downstairs and learn about. It's a penny is plenty. It's a savings challenge. We want to cut expenses and we want to build wealth. I have sisters in business. I have Nicole and Alicia who have a pitch competition. And if you have a business, you need to sign up for that. And if you are a sister of color and you want to get involved with your business, signing up with them, they're going to be down with the economics priority team. And I also have one more representative who appears to have stepped out, but I'll just say, see me downstairs, okay? We have 3 tables worth of individuals to help you with the economics priority team.
Again, I'm Kerry Whitfield, and I co-chair the political systems priorities. We have for you today, well, let me start 2 things off. One is that the African American Collaborative is a non-partisan organization. 2, as the president of the NAACP and the president of A Block Randolph, which is Deborah Sadique, We bring to this organization not just ourselves, but we also bring our organizations. We are in it to win it. We know that leverage and people equal power. We do not want you to just vote because we expect you to do that. We want you to vote with knowledge, with a sense of direction. What we will do is we will literally provide you all the resources that you need to make your selection at the polls. Come to our table. Don't forget the other tables. Just don't pay them as much attention. We'd like to see you downstairs. Thank you.
Let's give our coordinators a hand. So we're getting ready to transition downstairs. This is the beginning of a year-long conversation. So first of all, I want to make sure that everyone here signed the sign-in sheet to make sure that we have your information. If you did not sign the sign-in sheets, they're still out there, so please sign on your way downstairs. By way of announcement, tomorrow, Southwestern Michigan Urban League, in collaboration with TRHT, will host an African American affinity dinner. And so while it's not excluding anyone, the primary goal of this dinner is to get African Americans in the same space to talk about identity and do some healing. So we're asking that you join us again on tomorrow. We have a wonderful menu. I won't go through it right now, but it's delicious food. So come back tomorrow from 5 to 7 and engage. Also, on Thursday at Agape Ministries. It's Tuesday? It's tomorrow? Oh, what's happening? Praise God. Well, so when you guys get done, we're going to all journey over. So let's get that up.
Yes, sir. So yeah, a little bit time differential there, but at Agape Ministries, which is on 781 Goack Street, we're having an event for the National Day of Racial called "And My Brother's Keeper." We'll talk about race and racism within a biblical context to really make the case that Jesus is the way for us to be unified across races, across ethnicities and different traditions. To really talk about, if we're going to talk about healing, it starts from within. So we'll talk about the different histories. We'll talk about what the Bible has to say and what Jesus has to say about race and racism. We see it as beyond just flesh and blood, but really a power that is not of God and that needs to be broken. But we have to have power to be able to do that. So tomorrow, Tuesday, the 22nd, 6:30 to 8. Yeah. Tuesday, 22nd, 6:30 to 8. 781 Goack. It's off of 20th and Goack Street.
So we're going to work together to make sure that we all can go to both events. Amen? We're going to do that leadership thing. All of that will come right to you. And next, Pastor.
We also have an event for that National Day of Healing at the 24th Thursday, and it'll be emphasizing young people. And there'll be youth there talking about blackness. And we want to start with our culture first and then work our way out. 24th, I think it's 6 to 8. If you've been to the cafe, there's going to be catfish there, all kinds of different things, chicken. It's a soul food thing, so it's going to be good conversation and good food. You don't want to go to anybody else in the
So it's going to be a power pack week. We're looking for great things to come out of this week as we go into the rest of this year. So let's spread the word. Let's just make the rest of this week really, really big. Let's pack every part of the Urban League out tomorrow. Come get your dinner. And then after you get nice and full, we start the conversation. We'll end the conversation together at Agape Ministry. How about it? Awesome. So at this time, we're going to transition to downstairs. We are going to end on time today. I'm going to ask that as you go downstairs, we're going to dismiss the collaboration tables one by one to get their lunch. So as you go down, we're going to ask that those that are participating in the values priority table, get your lunch, and then go to your priority table, collaboration table, and then once that priority team has been served, we'll go to family, then economics, and we'll finish with political systems. Thank you so much for coming. I believe those are all of our announcements. Let's transition downstairs, and let's come out today with some real tangible things and ways that we can work together in 2019.